So the momentum of winning games comes to a stop as Manchester United draw 2-2 against Nottingham Forest, and I think it was probably quite a fair result. Although the majority of the stats are in Manchester United's favour, as you can see here with United, the purple colour, they had more possession, higher duel success, and a better passing accuracy, to name a few things. It never really looked like either team had full control of the game. There were some clear tactical changes from Ruben Amorim that hugely affected the game, and one player especially. I'm talking about Benjamin Sesko. There have been some comments in the media after the game regarding Cesco, namely from Gary Neville, giving him some flack for his performance, but I believe everything's going to be absolutely fine with Cesco. No need to worry. I'll go more into that later, but let's talk about some of the tactics. Firstly, one of the biggest changes that Amorim made in this game was that Manchester United passed the ball out of the back way more than what they have done in previous games. One of Manchester United's most common play patterns this season has been launching the ball from either defence or the goalkeeper, especially since Lamans has come in. And this tactic has been quite successful, especially for example against Liverpool, where Manchester United basically won the games purely because they were better at winning the second balls after the long balls forward. However, against Nottingham Forest, Amorim changed the build-up play completely, and we saw a much shorter passing game. I mean, just look at the passing map from the game, for example. The thicker lines show where more passes were made, and you'll notice the defenders were passing it between each other and making shorter passes to the midfield players. Compare this to even the last game against Brighton, and you notice the thin lines between the centre backs and midfielders. Notice as well how much more the team was spread out on average against Brighton compared to the Forest game. This backs up what I saw from United, and Amorim was definitely going for a much shorter passing game this week. Let's investigate further and look at specific players. Lamans is the first one to highlight, as he pretty much always pumps the ball long, doesn't he? But looking at his successful passes, most of them were to the centre backs and absolutely none were long balls forward. Shaw shows a similar story. It is a bit messy, but inside this cluster we can find the one successful long ball forward. Dalot's passes were even shorter, with barely any even going forwards. And Yoro, who is normally the centre back who sends the ball long, didn't really do so either in this game. Whether or not this was the right decision, we'll actually never know, as we can't simulate what would happen if Manchester United played the game differently. But what we do know is that firstly, some of the play was actually a joy to watch. I feel like United sort of have this reputation now of being long ball merchants who can't play the ball out the back, and this game proved that wrong. The team would play passes through the press like a knife through butter, and it was great to watch, especially as we're not really used to it. However, and going back to what I said earlier, a huge issue this caused was the fact that Cesco was really isolated throughout the whole game. These are Cesco's attacking plays, literally all of them. Shots, successful passes, unsuccessful passes, dribbles, crosses, whatever you can think of that a player can do with the ball at his feet. These are all of them. As you can see, he didn't really get into the game at all, and it was due to Manchester United's shorter passing style. For a player who is more of a target man than a false number 9, this of course caused huge issues for him. It completely goes against Amorim's normal style of play and the reason why he signed Cesco in the first place. Cesco is the type of player that thrives in more direct styles. He's great at winning aerial duels, and he's great at bringing other players into the game by holding the ball up. In a game where United are playing a more shorter style of play, it might have made more sense to start with Xerxes or Mount up top, as they are more naturally inclined to drop deep to get involved in the play. But essentially what this meant was Manchester United were basically down to 10 men when in possession, which is obviously a huge disadvantage. But listen, this isn't Cesco's fault. I need to put this one on Amorim, to be honest. The shorter passing game also removed faster and direct vertical plays from United, and as a result the forward players found themselves with less space and time on the ball. Mbuemo and Amad have been United's most dangerous pairing down that right side. They have made it an absolute nightmare for teams recently, but in this game they found it really difficult to put their stomp on the game. Williams and Murillo especially did really good jobs marking them to make sure they had much more quieter games than usual. And although Amad did of course score the equaliser on the edge of the box, generally his play on the right hand side wasn't as effective. Forest were also incredibly difficult to break down, often setting up in a 4-4-2 formation, which would often change into a 4-3-3 if United passed the ball back to the defence so that Forest could go man to man when pressing. And with United playing a much shorter game, this made it way more harder for them to receive the ball and find passes. There are also a lot of question marks over the Manchester United players' mentality, and it came to light again in this game. Amorim himself has been completely mystified on several occasions as to why the Manchester United players can't perform at their absolute best in every single game. And against Forest, they completely self-destructed after half time, conceding 2 goals within 5 minutes of the break. And they were both really sloppy and avoidable goals. Amad getting beaten in the air is obviously no surprise, and it's one of the prices that you pay for playing him at right back in a back 5. The second goal is worse though, as Dalot gets caught sleeping, gets caught ball watching, and lets his man go through free. What's even worse though is that Dalot shouldn't have even been there in the first place. You can see here, before the goal, Gibbs White is breaking with the ball and Dalot is up there. It's his duty to get back to the left back position in these cases as soon as possible, so United can organise into the back 5. However, as the ball is played back, Dalot is not back in time and is out of position. This means Undoy, who is the right winger, drags Shaw out to the left back and Dalot needs to cover centre back, which is the last place you want him to be really. I mean, it's a real shame, as without this 2-minute collapse, United probably would have won the game and would have gone second in the table, or at least temporarily, and they'd actually be sitting in third right now. Still, I don't think it was a bad performance, and at least it's not back to losing ways, so I think United fans can continue with optimism for now. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and please consider subscribing, as it would really help the channel. Cheers.